privacy.
Good evening, ghosts and ghouls. It's the one, the only, JT Ripper, and I'm here with the one that brought Pumpkinhead back,
Todd of Thunder.
and we're doing a movie review / rankings of Pumpkinhead.
Yeah, it's more of a overall franchise review.
Yeah, because it's only 4 movies.
And
We're both in agreement.
yeah,
in this.
these movies go in
In
order as they were released.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like our creature feature review.
Yeah. So there's 4 movies in the franchise. The last one being Ashes to Ashes.
No,
Blood
Blood
Feud.
Feud.
Blood Feud, excuse me.
yeah, the last one is Pumpkinhead 4 Blood Feud, and the one before that is Pumpkinhead Ashes to Ashes. These movies were pretty much made simultaneously and released through the Sci-Fi Network back in the mid-2000s.
I mean, okay, we'll start off with Blood Feud. It's kind of like a Hatfield and McCoy's type movie.
It is a Hatfields and McCoy's movie.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They actually do use it. It's been a hot minute since I watched it.
Yeah, they play off of the feud that the Hatfields and McCoys have. The folklore, people familiar with the old time America Western type of deal will know. I think there's a thing in Tennessee that you can go to. It's like a play called the Hatfields and McCoys.
Yeah.
But they basically take that whole concept, put it in kind of modern day, and they're still feuding with each other, still hate each other, and you pretty much throw in Pumpkinhead right in the middle of it. Yeah, it's to be a sci-fi movie. It was decent. It was better than most.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I really like this movie. I think it kind of holds up. I mean, you've got a couple CGI scenes that are kind of shitty, but for the most part, they use practical effects.
Yeah.
And this movie actually came out in 2007, and Ashes to Ashes was 2006, so it was literally 1 year, and then the next.
Ashes to Ashes was the later part of 2006.
Yeah.
And Blood Feud was the beginning of 2007.
Yeah, so it was pretty much back to back.
Back to back, just, released different times. And Ashes to Ashes has Doug Bradley in it.
Yeah, and he's fucking amazing in it, too.
And I must mention that the original star of these films, Lance Hickerson, he returns for both of these movies as well.
Yeah.
And Ashes to Ashes is pretty good. It's about this. Doug Bradley is kind of a funeral home director or whatnot, and he's basically doing wrong to the deceased.
Right. So you're talking about Ashes to Ashes now.
Yeah.
Okay. Back step a second. What do you give on a rating of Blood Feud?
Oh, Blood Feud, probably like a 5.
I was going to say a 5, too.
5 out of 10. Kind of middle of the road.
I think I would go like a little over 5.5 because I like the Hatfield McCoy.
Okay.
Feud. All right, so now we're diving into part 3, Ashes to Ashes.
Yeah, like I said, this is the one with Doug Bradley. He's doing the bodies wrong, and Pumpkinhead is summoned to do vengeance on him and his little crew. And again, I like this one a little bit better than Blood Feud, so I'm going to give this one 5.5.
I did like this one a little bit better. I'm going to actually go higher. I'm going to give this one like about a 6.
Okay. Then we go to Pumpkinhead 2 Blood Wings that came out in 1994.
Yeah.
And this was the first Pumpkinhead movie I had seen.
I don't remember which one I watched first.
Yeah, this was the first one I seen. This one was a video store rental all the time. This came out during the early days of the straight-to-video era. that
Yeah.
started in the late 80s and in the 90s it was way more movies that just went straight to video, and this was one of them. But I've always really enjoyed this one. This one is the most different out of all the Pumpkinhead films. It doesn't really follow the core story of the first one.
Yeah.
But, I've always really enjoyed this one. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give it an 8 because I've always just enjoyed it. I mean, it's not a great movie by any means. But if you compare it to some of the straight to DVD movies of today or straight to streaming service movies of today, you can tell that the quality is still better than today.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely. I feel like this franchise actually is one of the few franchises that like hold up over time. Because for the most part, they all use practical effects. And if you can't tell, I'm huge on practical effects because it's obviously more realistic than CGI. CGI over time just looks shitty. Like, I mean, if you go back and watch some of these Marvel movies, they're not really holding up that much now.
Yeah.
And like you go back and watch Spawn, whew, boy, that CGI is rough to watch. Like American Werewolf in Paris, god damn, it's rough. Very
even
bad.
some of the bigger budget movies are very hard for me to watch. Like anything after the first Transformers is pretty shitty because it just seems like you're spinning around and round and round and round in a fucking circle, and you're getting a glimpse here and a glimpse there, and I mean it's like you have to be fucking drunk to enjoy those films.
Yeah, but to give part 2, I would give it a 7.
All right. Well, we go to the first Pumpkinhead, which came out in '88.
Year I was born.
Me too. And yeah, this is a classic creature feature. This got back to the classic creatures of the 40s and the 50s. And Lance Hickerson is the star of this film. And I've always loved the movie. It's always been creepy. It's always been scary. And yeah, to me, it's a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I would agree that it's a 9 out of 10. I've always loved the look of Pumpkinhead. He has kind of like that, almost like a xenomorph like look to him, like from Alien.
Yeah.
But a little bit different, and it's just like he's creepy, but not like too creepy. Kind of like the Crypt Keeper. It's creepy enough to where it's still scary, but it's not like too much.
Yeah, it's his look is would definitely scare the shit out of little kids.
Yeah.
And it is horrifying. There's no comedy aspect. One of the last episodes that we done was horror comedies. This has no comedy in it. This is about dread. This is about
Revenge.
It's about it's in the title. It's vengeance.
Yeah.
Pumpkinhead was actually before it was a film. It was like a short poem.
Yeah.
And that's how they came up with the whole concept of it. And it's relatable, especially if you have children, or even if you just have somebody close to you that you think was done wrong, and you want revenge, and summon up this demon that comes after them. The only problem is when that demon comes and attacks these people, you see what's going on, and you see the horrific. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, I want somebody dead, and I'm going to pay you to do it, but I'm going to be somewhere else so I don't get to see it and feel guilty.
Right. But you get to carry the burden.
Right. But this one, you do get to see it, and you do get to carry the burden, and, it's one of those things where it's like, wow, I didn't know it was like this.
Yeah.
So,
And that's pretty much the concept, the main character's son gets killed,
yeah.
and he wants revenge, and he finds out about the legend of Pumpkinhead, and
Which he kind of already knew from
Yeah.
from seeing Pumpkinhead as a child, a very small glimpse.
yeah,
But it's one of those things that hits different when you have children of your own, or when you're in that situation.
yeah,
And he goes to the old witch. It's always an old witch,
always an old witch.
old wicked witch bitch. So yeah, and she's the one that tells him, go dig this thing up out of the old pumpkin patch beyond the graveyard and the swamp and the woods and every fucking thing else you can think of to get there.
Yeah,
And boom.
you have a demon, a big old fucking demon that's on a fucking killing spree, and it's all because of you.
Demon of vengeance.
And he doesn't stop until everybody's dead.
Yeah, he has a specific job, He goes after it, and you happen to get in his way, you face the same consequence. And, very well put together. Stan Winston directed this movie. Stan Winston, this was like his only directorial movie. Stan Winston was a famous special effects makeup artist in Hollywood. Oddly enough, he did not do the design of Pumpkinhead. He didn't want too much on his plate. He wanted to direct the film, but he didn't want this. I'm sure he had a concept and he drew it up and he passed it off to other people that he trusts to make this costume and everything.
Right.
But yeah, that's a little interesting note.
That is interesting considering, we just had Terrifier 2, and the director also is a special effects person, and he did the special effects and directed Terrifier 2, and he said that he was burning both candles at both ends. He said he got, no sleep, so I could only imagine how fucking hard that would be.
Yeah, man, it's a job. I mean, you're trying to bring to life your vision, but also you're trying to make a movie at the same time.
Yeah.
I always think that it's probably better to pass it off to somebody that you trust, and somebody that you know for sure shares your vision or understands your vision of what you want to do.
Yeah.
That's probably a lot of the reason why, John Carpenter elected not to direct the second Halloween film. He done everything else. He produced it. He wrote the music to it.
Yeah.
He wrote the script, but he was just like, nope, I'm not going to direct it.
Right.
So, and he did all of that for the first film.
Yeah.
So, it does take a toll on you. I mean, and even movies where you only have one role is hard enough. I mean, me and my son just recently watched the Jaws documentary.
Yeah.
And how it was a complete nightmare. The fucking mechanical shark didn't work half the time.
Oh yeah.
People
I remember
didn't.
hearing about that.
Yeah, people didn't want them on the fucking. They shot at Martha's venue. They didn't want them there, and they had holes in the boats, and it was fucking sinking for real. And they had all of this studio equipment that could not be gotten wet. They went fucking. I think they were scheduled for like 75 or 80 days shooting, and they went like 165. That's how much they went over. Yeah, and halfway through it, the studio was about to just shut the whole production down, and it was a lot of people that just went to bat and was like, no. And even after the movie was made, Richard Dreyfuss got on television and was like, I don't think my performance in this movie is worth a fuck, because of the dread that he went through filming it. But after it came out and he actually got to see it and he saw the reaction to the people, he was like, wow, how wrong I was. Right. And that just goes to show you,
right.
I think his performance is brilliant, but behind the scenes he was so fucking miserable doing it, I guess it just made him feel like his performance was shitty.
which I mean happens a lot. And I know that Pumpkinhead didn't have a big budget neither.
Yeah, and I think that the more stress you have and the more problems that you have, the movie kind of ends up being better. I mean, we
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, we just talked about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. How it was miserable for them to shoot the first one.
Yeah.
And it ends up being the greatest cult film ever.
Yeah. You just feel the tension and the misery and the pain and the hurt because it was fucking real.
Yeah, they
were fucking miserable.
They wanted to hurry up and get this shit over with.
120-degree days. The blood syrup like dried on her skin so much, and it was like peeling her skin off when they were trying to get the fake blood off of her because it's made out of corn syrup and stuff like that.
Yeah, fortunately, I don't think there was a miserable experience like that on Pumpkinhead, but just diving into that whole thing.
Yeah.
It's a great film, good little franchise.
Cult classic.
No need to rank these because from 1, 2, 3, 4, that's exactly how you should watch them. That's exactly how we feel they fall as far as which one's better.
He's definitely an iconic creature.
Yeah, he's an iconic creature.
Definitely top 10 for me.
To horror fans, I don't think that he gets his just due. Honestly,
no. It's a franchise that really should get more love than it should.
Yeah, it should get way more love, and it's kind of like when we talk about the Hellraiser films.
Yeah.
And it's like Pinhead is an icon. His face is everywhere.
Yeah.
But, after like maybe the third film, they don't really go as far with him as they can.
Right.
It's mostly like a story with him on a couple of pages.
Right.
With Pumpkinhead, he's actually, the demon is actually the attraction of the films, but I guess because we haven't had a film in a long time, or it was never presented as a mainstream franchise. Because let's face it, after this first film, all of them are either straight to DVD, straight to VHS, straight to television, whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess it's perception is reality, but that's take a risk on this. If you kind of heard about Pumpkinhead but you don't know that much, watch them. You're not gonna be disappointed, especially the first one. I can't stress enough how iconic the first one is, and you think about all the iconic '80s horror movies. This fits right in there. I mean, it's right there up there with anyone that you can think of.
Oh yeah, I think this is a movie that deserves either a sequel or a remake. Re-imaging. I mean, you could go any route with this movie, honestly.
Yeah, as long as they don't CGI it up too much.
That's my only problem, is that they would try to, CGI it to death, and this is you need to stick to practical effects.
Yeah, unfortunately, CGI has become the cheaper route.
Yeah, I know.
So,
and you know how I feel about CGI. I feel like it takes away from horror movies because it just doesn't hold up.
Yeah,
that was my one negative thing about the mean one.
Yeah, I feel like CGI can be helpful, but when there's stuff that you can not do CGI with, it's kind of like a cop out to do it when you can just do it practical.
Right.
I mean, if you're going to do some really outlandish action scene, okay, fine.
Right.
But you don't need to do it for somebody walking in a kitchen or some shit like that.
Yeah. And, I think that I would like to see this movie, get a remake. Do like a 1, 2, 3 remake, make a couple sequels out of it. Give it the love and respect that it deserves. I mean,
yeah.
You've done tried with Hellraiser over and over and over again. I mean, you've done tried with Chucky. I mean, this is the one franchise that actually deserves a fair shot, and I think could do pretty well, actually.
Yeah, and, I understand why Hollywood remakes all these movies because they're already a proven commodity.
Yeah.
But to me, it would make much more sense to remake movies that maybe don't have that fan following, or like legitimately needs a remake because the first one could have been done a whole lot better.
Right.
This is not one of those movies where the first one could have been done better, but it's one of those to where if you did a remake, it would, resurface the image of Pumpkinhead, and it could be that household name.
Yeah. This is a franchise that is just waiting to like make money off of. I mean, merchandise, the name. I mean, it's catchy. It's a great franchise, great story. It's something original. It's something you can reboot and redo and do it right. I mean, you could like have a Hills Have Eyes effect to this movie.
Yeah, I consider Pumpkinhead like the underground king, that unfortunately is not on the popularity level of your Jasons, your Freddys, your Michaels, and your Chuckies.
Stuff like that.
But
Ghostface.
he's the underground king of it.
He's definitely holding it down. He gets love in my book.
Yeah, if there's one franchise and there's one character that is not on their level but should be, I vote for Pumpkinhead.
Absolutely. And I don't really like to ask for remakes or anything like that, but this is a re-imaging you could do with this, and I would be all on board for it.
Yeah, I think that this could even work in a series format where every single episode, somebody has been done wrong and Pumpkinhead's been conjuring.
Yeah, I mean, you could sit there and you could just tell the story of this man or woman, and you have the build up, and then when they lose their child, then that's when 4 or 5 episodes in, then you start getting Pumpkinhead, and then that season can be that story, and you could do a different story each season.
Yeah, and like I said, Pumpkinhead is easily one of the darkest and scariest creatures that's been made. So, you wouldn't have to promote it too much as far as like, you always see this shit on, when a movie comes out, the scariest movie in the last 20 years, or the it made me shit my pants, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't really have to do that bullshit for this. The creature, if done right, can be scary enough.
Yeah, he can speak for himself. But I have no faith in humanity, so I don't think we're gonna get it, and I don't think it's gonna be good.
Yeah. If we do get it, it'll be.
It'll probably be Sci-Fi Network putting out another movie.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I'd like to see Blumhouse get their hands on it.
Yeah, that would be cool. The only way that this movie could succeed to be remade or re-imaged is if somebody that has some love for it gets a hold of it.
Hey, anybody out there want to give me some money? I will make sure that this thing gets the love and support and nourishment it needs.
Or, you want to bring me in as a consultant, I'll just tell you what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong.
There you go. We'll figure this out one way or another. But we appreciate you tuning in for our creature feature. We got a couple more ones we're going to do like this. We're probably going to do Jaws, Predator. Pretty much if we talk about a small franchise or a small series, and we pretty much are all in agreement with, the order that they're in, we're going to just do the creature feature type treatment to it.
Yeah.
But take us out, Todd.
Well, I'm Todd of Thunder saying
toodaloo. And this is JT Ripper saying, you brought him back, Ed Harley.